recording. There we go.
Perfect.
Look at that. See, I have no idea, but I blundered my way through that too. Thanks, Mikhail. I got some help though. That makes sense. Thanks, Lauren. Okay. Approval of the agenda. If we can get a mover. Holy smokes, we got some feedback.
We have.
Can we get everyone muted except for who's speaking? Then we won't get feedback.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Okay, let's solve that problem. Now we're not all underwater. Thank you. So I need a approval of the agenda. If somebody can raise a hand. Ian, do I have a seconder, please? Okay, I've got 17 seconders. We'll go with Dwayne. Thank you. All those in favor? Hands up if I can see them. Okay, Nancy, Mikhail, Rob, I'm assuming you're all good. And we will do the same for the minutes. They were circulated. Rob got them out. So if I can get a mover. I've got a mover. There's Gary. Do I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Dave. All those in favor? Hands up. I have a majority. Thank you very much. Okay, action items from the minutes. Update, we've got the Kamloops branch operating manual. I've sent it out. It was circulated several weeks back. I think I had one person weigh in, and I think that was about it, but I didn't get any negative feedback. Everybody thought that it was there from what I got. I do have it broken down into segments, so each segment for each committee is broke out, so it isn't all in one solid document and then one complete document, all PDF'd. So I will get it into the hands of our webmaster, and we'll get it implemented online, so it's there for anybody to utilize as they see fit. Make sense? Everybody okay? I got thumbs up all over the board, so I'm going to go with that. And thank you very much. And thank you for everybody's feedback. I appreciate that as well. So I think we're there. Presentation, I just left this on here, the presentation of recognition plaques, just so that we've got a placeholder on there, and I'll continue to put it on the agenda just so we don't forget that we've got those plaques. And as soon as we're able to do a face-to-face meeting, we will do a proper presentation where the impact will be greater than doing it on a Zoom and sending it by mail. It just it's too low impact in my mind to do that way. So we'll hold off. So having said that, we'll move into the meat of tonight's meeting, and we'll move on with the treasurer's report. And Dave, the floor is yours, and I'll mute and shut up.
Well, the biggest thing on my mind these days is trying to get a budget that makes some sort of sense, which is difficult with COVID. And I'll ask everybody that's a committee chairman to, if there's anything they think they can put into the budget, no problem. We'll put it in and see how it flies. We have a deficit the way it sits right now. And we had one going into this year, which we didn't seem to need at all. So we've broken even, if not slightly ahead for this year. But we did have some membership dues that came in, our local dues, and we'll be doing without those next year. So I think we're going to have to budget, we're going to need some fundraising of some sort somewhere along the line. Other than that, I don't think we're in rough shape, and the budget will change up until next month with any inputs and be presented at the annual general meeting in November. So I again ask for any assistance, any comments on what exists, and I'm quite open to having lots of suggestions, and I can make the changes. So, but right at the moment, it's sort of a hit and miss thing. You guess, you know, and again, depending on how far COVID goes, we could be doing this again next year with another strain popping up or whatever. So just to keep in the back of your mind that it's just a set of numbers, and we have a good, healthy bank balance and not to worry about it too much. Okay, that's it for me.
Okay.
I'm going to mute myself and you can go ahead.
All right. That's great. Thanks, Bruce. I appreciate that. And based on that, I'm assuming you have no real concerns, considering the fact that we did break even this year with little to none. And I know Joanna and I have spoken about a couple of things around fundraising, although we haven't anchored anything solid. But when we get to her part, we'll talk about that a little bit, some ideas for spring and so on. But I think we can manage it within the fundraising arena for any small shortfalls. So good job on the budget. I looked at it. You did see a couple of my comments on there, I'm sure. But I thought overall it looks pretty well put together. I think we've covered their bases. So any comments from anybody else on the board around the budget or finance?
I know you said we had Android there for the web hosting. Now we don't have the email, which is really nice. No cost there. We have to think about if we're going to continue with this for next year. Potentially, we'll probably potentially have to renew the Zoom. That's the only one we have to keep in mind.
But I think Zoom is well worth its weight in gold. Even if we have, because we could have a
Guest speaker.
It's just paying for itself. Yeah. Guest speaker, anything.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I agree. I think that's a really solid piece, Lawrence, Mikhail. So Dave, we should probably put a line item in. I think it's a $200 item per annum.
I believe it was already in there.
Oh, was it? Oh, I didn't notice that. My apologies.
Just, I'll check. I've got it here somewhere. Oh. I thought I had it in there. Maybe I didn't, but. No, I guess I didn't, but I will put that in there. I'll put a note right now.
It's 200, isn't it? Lawrence, do you remember? It was 200, I think.
It's $20 a month, and I think you save a month, so it's more like 220 or 30, 240 or something plus taxes.
Okay.
I didn't actually pay for it, so.
Oh, okay.
I did, and it should be here. One sec.
So I do have one question
Yeah.
with the budget. In previous years, it was closer to 10 grand. So how come we're down to about 5 right now for this? Like what has changed from the previous budgets?
For expenses?
Yes. And then, well, we've had no income, but I mean for expenses.
Well, we haven't had any expenses either. We haven't had field days. We haven't had guest speakers.
So this is just a tentative budget then, correct?
Yeah, this is just something
Okay.
that I put out. It's based on what we did put out last year, but
Okay.
with a few bogs. And again, we're not spending any money, so it won't have a large expense portion.
Yeah, I think, Lawrence, to speak to it from what I've seen in comparative, is that our guest speakers would cost us a fair bit of money in comparison when we're putting up a hotel and, meals and all of that. Now we're able to bring in a guest speaker and it's costing us about $100 to do that. So substantial difference. So you can see where we're, doing a lot of savings. And getting back to your point about the fact, let's not get rid of Zoom because it's truly sort of a great opportunity. I think that sums it up right there. That's probably saving us several $1,000s a year.
I agree.
Yeah.
Zoom has really opened up the world, actually. It's one of
Truly.
the benefits of COVID, I think.
Yeah, that's what I say too. It's advanced technology by 7 years minimum. It's huge.
I never even heard of it before that this happened. So,
Yep. I think we're a lot of us in that.
and I'm in technology for Pete's sakes.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, that's great. Thanks, Dave. I think we got that well underhand, and thanks for the work on that. Continue to forge ahead. All of the committee chairs, I would ask that if you see anything that you think might be something that needs to get into the 22 budget, please make sure that it gets forwarded to Dave. Even those that are maybe stepping off. I know, Christine, you're going to hang on till the end of your term, but with demands of, family and everything, you've got to step back. And hopefully we keep you in a committee somewhere, but we understand that the chair is maybe a little more than you want to run right now. But if you think there's something that the communications chair may need next year, maybe fire that to Dave if you wouldn't mind, just so he can get a placeholder in the budget. Thank you. Okay, governance, Lawrence. I put in here just meeting start times, etc., because that was brought up in the last meeting, so we were going to discuss it. So I'm going to throw that over to you. I'll go silent here and let you speak to it.
Okay, well, that's the first I've really heard of it. So the only thing I'm thinking, like, who was complaining about the times? Did they want it earlier or later?
Well, that was the interesting thing. There was some comments came around, and there was a lot of people that said, "Oh no, it's great," but then there was other people that said, if it was later on in the evening at 7, then people could have had dinner. And so there's some people finding that the window between, maybe finishing their day job at 5 or 5:30 and getting on this call at 6 is a little crowded. And yet there was the other side of it where the argument came back, people saying, well, if we start at 7 and the meeting goes long, now it's a 9 o'clock meeting, and that's getting later than I want to be online. So I think it was just for healthy discussion to say, is there a better time? And if there isn't, then I think we hold steadfast and say, well, this is the meeting time and we do it. Or do we move it by 30 minutes and say, we move it to 6:30? I don't have a real, carved out, here's what we have to do, but it was brought up and we said we would discuss it at the board.
So one thing I would think about this then is, even if we have the meeting at a certain time, if they record it and then somebody could view it at their leisure, they just can't participate in the meeting. Is my thoughts on that. Because if we record it, like for some of these WAS presentations, even if we missed them, of course, that's a little different because that's an educational thing.
Right. I think,
but
I mean, for me with the board, to be really honest, I mean, I don't want to, be running the board as a team of one. So yeah. I think we want to be on. So my concern is that, like tonight, I know Klaus has sent me a note saying he didn't get an invite. So I'm not sure, but I think again, that gets back to that whole thing of just not earmarking the third, Tuesday of every month in the calendar because Mikhail has sent out all of the Zoom links. So I'm going to send that on to Klaus.
It was sent out in one shot though, and not everybody keeps all their emails. And like I've actually, like I put the email that came in, I put a little star on it. And so I always have to call up that one email because it's scrolled down through about 5 pages of notes to go find it because it doesn't stay at the top. Like, and that's even the Zoom link to join it. So
yeah,
I have no way of bookmarking the Zoom link.
Yeah, see, I mean, I loaded them into Outlook and it automatically loads them into my calendar. So it tells me on my calendar automatically. And I think that's the way Mikhail sent it out, but not everybody has Outlook and, Google and calendars and so on. So I understand that.
The email can be copied and pasted into whatever calendar you want. You don't need to open that particular email in the future, as long as you copy and paste it into a Word document and put it on your desktop or whatever. I know the convenient is for someone to send an email and remind people. That was very handy, but there's other options too.
Yeah, but if Dwayne is going to do that mail out on the board the week before, he can always add it in there as well, Mikhail, and just as an add-on, right? So just in case for convenience.
Yeah, any mail should have that on it. If
for sure. Okay, that makes sense. So we'll just add that in and get that dealt with, because the board meetings to me are the important part. I agree with the general meeting. If it's an educational component, we've always recorded them and we do have those posted on our website so people can go and pick those up. So that should work. Any comments from others though on the meeting start times? I mean, I'd love to hear from some others on what they think. So I'll shut up here for a second.
It's good for me.
Yeah, my preference would be 7 myself because I work until 6. So it's a really tight. Either I had to quit early, drive home, try to get going with the internet and all that. And I'm the one that starts the meeting as well. So that means I really do have to be on it. But I do understand, you know, particularly when having educational one and when we inviting speakers. I mean, if they're from the New York area, they're going to be 3 hours ahead of us, so that will be quite late for them if they're going to do presentations. So it's a pull.
Anybody else? Makes sense? Anybody else?
I don't think you're gonna keep everybody happy, and it's that old, thing, you can't keep everybody happy all the time. So stick with 6, and if we're gonna continue to host through Zoom, we don't want to keep them up past midnight, that's for sure.
Not seeing any other hands going up or comments in the chat or anything. Christine, you've unmuted. Comment?
Might I suggest just moving it to 6:30? Because if for Michael, he's the one setting up the meeting and he's the one, you know what I mean? Like someone has to host through Zoom, someone has to host, right? So if he's needed for, you know, once again, it's a hassle for him to get, you know, it's kind of a critical pillar of this infrastructure. And so probably moving it to 6:30, like it's 6:30 now, right? I mean, most people could probably try to dial in 10 minutes before, get our mics and everything sorted, right? So that we can kind of get on. We're getting more used to this platform as well.
Yep. And as long as
That's my
Mikhail,
suggestion.
and if Mikhail opens the meeting up and I'm on as a co-host, then I can start working the waiting room and he can just stay in, you know, in an idling mode. Would that help you, Mikhail?
Oh yeah, for sure. 6:30 will be much better.
Okay, you know what? It's a good compromise. I think, you know, Nancy's weighed in. You know, it's a 30-minute compromise, which maybe will allow. So if somebody is working till 5:30, it gives them an hour to grab a bite to eat, get online. You know, so you know that extra 30 minutes is probably, I think, all anybody was looking for. I didn't get the sense at the meeting that it was a major issue, but it was something that people felt was a little crowded. So if everybody's comfortable, let's look at a 6:30 meeting. Somebody want to make that motion?
So moved, Rob.
All right, thanks, Rob. I got a seconder with Gary. I'll call the question. All those in favor?
In favor.
Hands are up, hands are up. We have a majority. Thank you very much. We'll move all of our meetings to 6:30 for both board and for general membership. Thank you for that, Lawrence. That was your department. You didn't even know it. Look at that, glided right through.
There you go.
Okay, technology. Over to you, Mikhail. Hopefully you're stable enough. I know you've had some challenges.
Well, today I'm actually at work, but even that sometimes is not the best internet here.
Right.
So in regards to technology, since last time, we did publish that Queen variant calendar on the website, so people can use that. If there's any feedback, I'd like to hear about that. Second thing, I just pulled the join us, or the pay your fee for 2021 on the homepage. It doesn't change yet because it's cached, so it will change as soon as the cache clears itself. We do have to figure out what should we do with the whole registration of membership or members and all that, because we still have the whole section of the website which is for registered members. Are we still wanting people to register at all, or are we gonna take all that away and just make all the documents public and all that? Or what do we want to do? Because I can't start pulling stuff until I know what we want to do. And if we only going to allow BCHPA members, then how are we going to get that? I know we spoke about that last time, but how are we going to be active getting, acknowledgement that this is an actual member? But that's the technology in a nutshell.
Comments from people? What's the will of the board on this one? I know people have got comments, so I need you to weigh in on this because Mikhail's just looking for some direction. Do we want to leave this open to the public? Do we want to keep it down to members? I,
A quick question. Is there any way of knowing how many visits the site gets?
Yes, when I started, I added Google Analytics to it, so I could have a peek at that. I don't have it here. I was going to present that during the AGM,
Mhm.
but let's see here. Yeah, I won't be able to just pull off that right off the bat here.
That's okay. I don't think it's that busy a site.
No, it's not. It's not.
And I have a feeling that we'll just open it up and because there's not that much, it's not that sensitive, really.
no, I would agree that if we can lock portions of it down, can we not, Mikhail, on landing pages?
Well, yeah, but what do you want to lock though? Like, I know when I spoke to the provincial web guy, they wanted to keep their whole site more or less open. So that's kind of what I was feeling. That's what I was hoping we were going towards.
Mhm.
Let's see here.
How about the treasurer report? Do you want that open or
Sure.
just for members?
We have nothing to hide. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be transparent and nonprofit. So
Yeah, I don't personally see anything with 100% open disclosure. I don't think there's anything there that, and if people feel comfortable that they can surf around, my only concern ever on anything when it's open is if, anybody's going to get in there and hack anything. But like you say, the amount of traffic we have on there is so minimal, it's such a low impact, hackers don't care about stuff that's low impact.
One of the things that's on there is members' contact info.
Right.
But-
That will have to be removed. Anything like that that has a member's information needs to be removed.
Yeah, we have to protect that. So
But that's the thing. That's that's for the club to have in that case, and that's what we can keep on our Google Drive. That's
Right.
only us, board of directors have access to. In regards to statistics, we have had in the last 30 days 154 users. 135 were new. There was 206 sessions. So it's not very busy.
no, you know what? From my perspective, then I think we open it up. I think the more transparent we are as a club and an organization, the better it is for everybody. We have nothing to hide. So
And under the membership thing, we just, in big bold type, join the BCHPA and you become a member for us. And then remove all the email addresses for the current membership. Take that right out of there.
and then
That's it.
the only thing we want to add in there, Dave, is just that we'd like them to select the Thompson Nicola branch, right?
Yeah,
So I think we
So
make
what I
sure.
will, so what I will do is I will have, instead of join, up on the top there, we'll say join BCHP, but we'll come to our so-called register page or whatever. There we'll have the information about join, BCHP, but please select us as your local group. And then with a link to BCHPA shopping page.
plus we have the PayPal link there, and I don't think we want to lose that in case we want to go and sell something through the website again. It's very
No, we'll leave the shopping cart there and all that.
excellent.
But it will just not be
Active.
smack there.
Mhm.
Okay, I like that. That's great. Anything else,
And-
Mikhail?
And in regards to get your 2021 calendar, do we still want to have that, or should we just remove that?
No, that's
I think it's
Okay.
dead now.
not
We
going to
didn't
happen
make-
this year. So,
Yeah, we didn't make one this year, but maybe for next year. So if you want to leave
Yeah.
well, you can hide stuff like that and have the link coming up when we want it.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll hide it or remove it, and then we'll just add next time.
Perfect. Anything else, Mikhail, before, because this is obviously our last meeting prepping up for the November AGM, right? So just want to make sure you've got everything you need.
No, so just looking, I'm just in Google Analytics, just the audience, since I enabled it in March 2nd, we've had 1,622 users, and about 2,250 sessions. That's kind of what we've had. Returning visitors has been 13.6%. And new visitors been 86.4.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
just the generic thing.
Yeah, but it's interesting. There's that many unique visits. That surprises me.
Yeah. Now the thing is, I'm not sure how that one based upon if it's based upon cookies, IP addresses or not. I'm not 100% sure, and things like that can change. So these numbers are not exactly.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Anything else you need, or move on to the next committee?
No, I'm good, and I have to log off.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, Mikhail. Appreciate it, and thanks for all the work. I appreciate you keeping us connected.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye for now. Board development. Gary, over to you.
No, can you hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, the only concern is I haven't heard back from everyone. I'll resend that sort of snapshot of little spreadsheet. The assumption is everybody's still standing, and it looks like we have possibly 2 holes. Communications and the secretary. Secretary is the big one. Any ideas out there?
Voice to text,
Pardon?
voice to text.
We were actually thinking maybe that Anne Marie would take it on.
Good thing she's not here.
Apparently that's not a transition of power, eh, Rob?
Yeah, it's got to change houses.
So it is a big concern, though. It's really hard to sort of recruit people when you can't even meet with anyone. It's kind of tough.
Does anybody have any ideas of any people that we might be able to forward Gary's way? Because I know Gary has said to me, and I'm sure he's said to others, that, you know, if you give me the lead, I'll follow up on it. So if there's anybody, I mean, you know, we thought we had it with Tanisha. Unfortunately, you know, technology is not her friend where she is. And the way we're operating right now in a Zoom world, it's just not functioning for her in any way, shape, or form. So she will stay involved as a committee member, and she wants to stay involved and get a little more engaged in what's going on, and then kind of work into it over the next year or two. So she may take that role, but in the meantime, we've certainly got to backfill it. And I want to be respectful for Rob. He's done a tremendous job and worked hard for years on it. I want to be respectful and let him step back. So.
Like Gary said, it's hard to talk to the membership, so I don't know what options are open, but just if anybody has their personal contacts, that's probably the first line to take.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So if anybody knows members that are, you know, out there, and you know, my unfortunate part is that we haven't had face-to-face, so getting to know some of these people has been challenging for me in this role as well. So I really have to lean on some of the people that are online that, you know some of the others, or some of the people that have been around for a while, that maybe we could see if there's somebody, maybe Joanne's daughter would take it on. Joe? You're muted on purpose, I think.
I'll certainly ask.
Okay.
But don't hold your breath.
No,
there's might be better. Yeah. Are these positions advertised on the web and correspondence that goes out?
we've got a spot on the web that says, get involved. And so there's a link there, but, other than that, I mean, it's passive, right? I mean, there isn't anything that's, we're not going out to run newspaper ads or anything like that. And that's a tough way to recruit anyway, because you need somebody that's somewhat aligned with the organization a little bit to understand it. But I think that's about the only way we're bringing people in.
Not to scare anybody, but it is within the Constitution that an officer can hold 2 offices.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, any volunteers?
Look at the hands going up.
I'm scanning. I don't see any hands.
Yeah, me too. I'm the same as you. I'm not seeing hands going up, but if anybody knows anybody, I would have to say, just please, if you can get them to Gary, that would be very helpful. And the sooner the better. I think it's got to be done in this next few weeks here before we get into November too much. But if anybody knows anybody, I know, Joe's going to at least reach out to her daughter. If there's anybody that anybody knows, certainly, people like Nancy. Ian, have you got an idea? Go ahead.
Like that idea that was just brought up about any volunteers. The club needs to know that we're going to be needing a secretary. So the more emails that go out and the more information that goes out asking people to consider volunteering for that position, I think is probably going to be more beneficial than putting an announcement on the webpage. Because if you put an announcement that we're looking for a secretary on the webpage, that means you have to go there for some reason rather than have it presented to you. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Christine, we can probably do something on Facebook too, right? Reaching out that so thumbs up, you've got something going there. So that's another reach, right? Through the social media platform, and we can get out in front of people a little bit that way. Because there could be people that just don't know if they've got a spot that they can maybe do, but.
Exactly. That was my point. There's people that don't know that we're looking and that we need a secretary. So the more information we can get out there that says, hey guys, we need a secretary, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm hearing 2 suggestions. Social media and just an email to general membership. How do we get that going?
I think Christine can probably work with Mikhail on getting that. Christine, are you comfortable with working to get that out in the next week or so? Thumbs up. Okay. So yeah.
Thank you.
So does that work, Gary? You can connect with Christine and Mikhail.
I'll follow up.
Perfect.
I'll follow up on that.
Okay.
Thank you. That's it for me.
That's it. Nothing else? Oh, we got provincial.
Oh, yes. I talked to Murray, and yeah, he's interested in leaving his name forward.
Okay. Do we have anybody else? Did you check into that on because the provincial had sent out a notice on the regional rep, right? Which I forwarded.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was basically anybody who had an interest in sitting as a representative from this region, put their name forward. And I think you clear them to Carrie Clark, right?
Yeah.
They go to Carrie, and then Carrie will check the bios. So, I mean, Murray's interested in throwing his hat in the ring, but we can also have others that are interested. They're trying to make sure they get a representation in the region. And the bio is just basically so that it's backgrounder. So, so if there's anybody, Ian?
I've given this some thought.
Okay.
For some reason, over the years, the regional rep for our area always seems to come from the Kamloops branch. And I see that as a real positive for Kamloops, because our regional rep has a direct link to the BCHPA executive and can bring us new information, new issues. And for some reason that I don't know, the regional rep has been a Kamloops person. So
I'm fully in support of somebody we know, somebody from Kamloops, somebody that can bring our issues forward and bring back issues from the BCHPA. So we've been in a pretty privileged position, having the rep from Kamloops for as long as I can remember. So I would like to see that continue. I think it's a benefit to our branch to have our regional rep be from the Kamloops area. Thank you.
No, I agree with that. So I think based on that, though, again, this is another one of those feeders. If there's anybody that you know that has an interest on that regional representation, let's make sure that we get those forward so that the province, the provincial board knows that we've got some people in the area. Murray is probably going to be the strongest candidate because he is the incumbent. He's been there before, but again, they've said that it's not, it isn't because you were there. They're looking for regional representation. So they've asked us to submit those that are interested through to Kerry Clark. So if you can make sure that if there's anybody you know, Lawrence, if you've got an interest, anybody's got an interest, make sure it gets to Gary so Gary can feed it on to Kerry with a small bio, and then we'll go from there. But I agree, let's keep it from Kamloops. Let's not, water it down. Does that work for you, Gary?
Yes, it does.
Perfect. Okay. And that's everything?
Yep.
All right. Nancy. Are you still there, Nancy?
There, I'm there we go.
Okay.
Obviously we haven't done much because of COVID for special events, but for the calendar, since we didn't get any photographs or anything when we were asking for them earlier in the year, would it make sense to next year offer like a contest for photographs and like say a draw for one of 3 Hawaiian queens and maybe one of 3 calendars for people that sent photographs in?
I think it's a great idea. Photo contests are always great because you just build your library. The beauty to that is you make sure that proprietary rights are released when they send them, and that certainly helps us do our photo images and get our gallery loaded. That would be a fantastic idea. I love it.
So like a total value of maybe $250 or something of prizes?
I'm fine with that. I'm sure we can muster those up pretty easy.
If it's calendars, then it's the value is $20, but the cost is more like 10. So
yeah, but we would market it as the retail value, right? So
right.
Yeah, I like that idea. Others? What do you other people on the board think?
I would be willing to donate a 500-gram jar of Kamloops finest honey, probably the finest honey in the region, maybe BC, as a prize for the photos that Nancy picks.
I love it. I love it. You're so humble, Ian.
Can anyone match that largesse and that? Like a jar of Kamloops finest honey is probably worth $30. So. I'm going to mute.
Well, we could have people donate prizes too.
Yep.
Along with the queens and the finest honey, and yeah.
I think it's a fantastic idea. I would say let's gather and see what we can pull together. If you want to take the lead on that, I'm more than happy to lean in on my side and contribute something, a gift card or something, and let's make it work. A gift card.
All right, I'll start writing up some stuff then. And
yeah, start writing something up because I can give you a gift card from Home Hardware, for example, where people can go and get some wood supplies for doing some of their beekeeping stuff. I mean, I can't imagine a beekeeper not going anywhere near a building supply at some point. They're going to need something. So I'm happy to donate on that side.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I'll write up something for asking for donations for the prizes and I'll write up something for getting the photographs.
And
that will be a draw.
you've got a gift card for Home Hardware and a jar of Kamloops Finest.
That's right. Maybe I'll donate Pritchard's Finest.
There you go. There you go. I'm not feeling the love in the room. There's thumbs up, thumbs down all over the place here. No, I think
Okay, and
that's fantastic.
now also the things like the CD Saturday and the home show and Day of the Honeybee and all of that, all of that is still really up in the air, I guess, for next year, right? But I was thinking maybe if we had enough people to volunteer to just come up with a plan that would be like a generic plan that we could just plug into any one of those three things if the opportunity comes.
I think that's just. Why don't we put that forward at the AGM and say, circle the date kind of thing, and then see if we can't gather a couple of volunteers for each one of them. If they materialize, great. If not, your time isn't.
Or maybe if we can just get volunteers to organize it and get it all, so that if one of them does come up, then we can, at least have some people in mind that would do it.
So
But that kind of has to be in the budget though too. So if we did the home show, that's kind of iffy if they'll give us a 50%, but that one would be the expensive one. The other two, I think in the past we've done it with a budget of like $200 or $250 or something like that for the Day of the Honeybee and the CD Saturday. But some of that we got back because we sold honey at the CD Saturday.
Right.
Nancy's suggestion as a call for participation is much like the other previous calls, and I'm sure that there's more to come, but I think probably in the minutes and as these minutes are sent out to the members, they can be advised that at the AGM, we're looking to rebuild club participation. And that's one of the plums that she can offer, Kamloops' second finest honey.
Boy, I sure don't want to put mine in because I'm going to be so far down the food chain that it'll be like, the 100th or something. So. Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. That's a good point, Rob. And we can highlight them, right? I mean, when we send it out, we can just highlight some of them in a little bit bold, just so that it jumps out a bit, and see if people grab them.
Play up the get involved theme. We might see some action, Yeah.
Well, and I think people are ready to do some things. I know there's frustration all around. So, I think it's a great idea. Let's see if we can't put a plea out.
So somebody else is writing that up, the trying to get people to.
You make your appeal. You make your description of the participation, the event, but I think a general appeal will go out with the minutes, as you've seen with board development, and and you give your details for contests and stuff like that, and it'll be in there. Okay, so give me your report. Give it as your report for the minutes, and it'll be in there.
Perfect.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. And then who would I mail that to you, Rob?
Yeah.
Okay.
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 That's great. Okay. Anything else, Nancy?
Nope. That's it.
Okay.
Except for that, those things kind of have to be in the budget. If we're going to do a calendar, then that needs to be in the budget, and then the other, like the CD Saturday home show and all that, needs to be in the budget too.
Yeah, so fire that.
I think we had $2,000 for the calendar budget, which comes back because we sell them, right? So I think that was what the budget was for them, the past or the two or three calendars that we did.
So so anything you've got that's budget related, send that information on to Dave with the understanding if it's $2,000 budget expectation, it'll generate 2,000 in return or 3,000 in return, just so he knows what to slot in for debits and credits on the budget plan, and we'll get it in there. That's perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, great.
Okay. Thanks. So So you got a couple of people to contact there, Rob on the written piece, and then financial stuff to Dave, and we'll get her done.
Right, okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Nancy. Appreciate that. Fundraising. Joanne,
That's me.
that
Yeah,
is you.
it's yeah. First of all, my apologies to everybody. I've heard several times tonight that emails were being sent out or have been sent out, but unfortunately, I think the emails go to the Beekeepers address? Probably, because I don't think I've been getting any through the Shaw, which is my usual one. And this technology being 7 years ahead, I'm not quite there yet. So unfortunately, I'm a little bit out of the loop as to what's been happening, and that is my fault. I accept that. But
Joanne.
I think when, yes.
If I could interrupt, I'll tell you how the email works, is that when the board mail goes to Kamloops Beekeepers, it's rerouted to your email, whatever at Shaw. So that's just a rerouting service that board provides. So if Michael has your address, it should be getting rerouted.
So just check with Mikhail. What that all gets down to is check with Mikhail, and he can help you link it so that it'll get forwarded to your Shaw account. Like in my case, for example, I've got 4 different email accounts, and they automatically come into my server, so I can go into that at any time and just click on it, and I can open them up, and I can. So I stay on my main PC, but everything forwards in.
Okay.
So it sounds more
Okay, I know I've
complicated
got
than
some
it
issues
is, but
there. Yeah.
So, Joanne, there's,
And I apologize.
go ahead, Lawrence.
it's just a Gmail account. So if you just go into your settings, you sign into your actual email account, you can actually put your own mail forwarding in the settings on your Gmail account to forward to your Shaw account. You can put rules in yourself,
Okay.
or Michael could probably give you a hand there.
Yeah.
But it's something that is actually done right at your account level.
Okay.
So between Mikhail and
Okay.
Lawrence and Lawrence has got a pretty good understanding. Lawrence, do you think you could walk her through it as well? Or
Yeah,
I'll
all we have
bug-
to do is sign in as her, and then once we sign in as her, we just put the forward in to
Yeah.
the emails. So I mean, we just need your username and password to sign in as you, and then we just add your email address to that forwarding.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to take fundraising time for that, but I just,
No.
I know that I've been out of the loop a little bit here.
Yep.
So I've got to try to get that figured out, because I'm not up to date here on what happened. So ideas for spring. Bryce, I know that we just chatted briefly about an idea that you had for a spring fundraiser, but do you mind explaining it? I
Yeah.
thought it was a great idea.
Yeah,
But
and-
I'll let you explain it.
perfect. Yeah, no problem. What's happened is I mentioned to Joanne, and I want to make sure that nobody feels this is going to be offside, because again, I don't know about the sensitivity in the bee world. It's not sensitive to me, but it might be to others. But we get calls constantly in the spring. I get calls, and I know a lot of you do, about nukes. Where am I going to get a nuke? Who's selling nukes and all the rest of it. My comment to Joe was that what happens if we get a couple of us that are actually producing nukes on behalf of the club, and then we sell them as a fundraiser. The dollars go back into the club for the greater good of all the beekeepers. So nobody is personally gaining anything, but we work on trying to generate a few nukes in the spring to be able to generate dollars. But I don't want to be competing against people. So there's that fine line between looking like you're competing, but also supporting and finding a way to generate some dollars in a way that we get calls on it all the time, because it's probably the number one call in the spring that I get constantly is, where the heck can I get a hold of a nuke? So that's kind of where that came from. So I thought, does the club invest in a few nuke boxes, and we do that and then generate, or thoughts. It's just a, harebrained idea, but I just thought, considering we get those calls. So go ahead. Ian?
Don't think the club selling 5 or 6 or 10 nukes is going to infringe on anybody's business. I think a few nukes, 4, 5, 6 would be a good fundraiser. And I sell a few nukes and I would not feel that you were infringing on my territory if the club sold a few. And I don't see anybody that's selling 100 nukes would worry about the club selling 4 or 5 or 10.
Okay, others?
A comment about inspection requirements for a small hobbyist beekeeper selling a couple of nukes. It's a real pain for our inspector to have to inspect a couple of colonies. So yes, it might centralize some of those operations, make a convenience for her.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think we'd want to do it with, somebody who's also being inspected anyway. Then it would make sense that it's, part and parcel. And it's going to have to be somebody that's willing to utilize some of it in their bee yard, where we can get a couple of us to go out and help, because I don't want it to be a Joanne project, because that's not fair. I mean, it's all well and good to be, the fundraising chair, but the idea in my mind would be a couple of people to make it a little easier on everybody, and go out and participate at whatever bee yard it is that we're going to work out of. So that's where it came from. It's just an idea that I think we certainly know that there's a demand for it. There's no doubt about that. So, Joanne, do you think that makes sense? Is there space we could work out of, do you think?
I think so. There's I think we have to kind of go through some of the details as to, like Rob brought up the inspection already, which isn't, I know Diane, when she comes down, she tries to hit kind of a blanket of a number of different people in one visit anyway. But, looking at, okay, well, whose bees are they? And, all of this stuff. So we're going to have to work some of those details out before we go too far. But I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about how you think this could work. And maybe what we could do is get something, just a suggestion put in writing, and, and then we can bring it up and talk about it again at one of the future meetings as to kind of a plan. If nobody's opposed, and I say we cap it at no more than 10, just give it a try. Maximum 10. Maybe it might only be 3, it might be 5 this year, but no more than 10.
That's a great idea. I think if you put a cap on it, I think it limits that sensitivity, because I certainly, I don't see it as any type of a direct competition, but again, don't want to be insulting anybody. That's not what the intent is. But my thought with it was that what it does do, though, is it certainly means that, now a lot of those calls we can say, well, yeah, we've actually got 10 that we're going to be, we'll be ready here in whatever amount of time. And, it also draws the connection back to the Kamloops beekeepers, right? Because we're kind of that go-to place.
Yeah.
So
if they're going to be brought into one central place, I would say that it should be experienced beekeepers bringing them in so that there isn't any disease or overload of mites or something being brought to somebody's bee yard.
absolutely. I totally agree. And that's why I think it needs to be centralized out of somebody's yard. I think it's just more than anything, it's about, who's willing to come and help as well, so that the workload gets spread a little bit, because we all have our own bees and our own lives to deal with. So I'm not looking to lean in a whole bunch, but if we can do it on a day where there's a couple of days involved in the nukes, and then there's an inspection and then away they go, then hopefully that wouldn't be too onerous on a group of 3-4 people. That's kind of the thought, but I'm happy to talk with you offline on that, Joanne, a little bit more, and maybe we can build a plan and a strategy. What do you think?
I think that's great. I think that's what we need to do. I've still got questions too, but I think if we just talk and kind of work through some of it. And if anybody else has got ideas, yeah, please join us. Other than that, for fundraising, I don't have really anything to report on. So it's been pretty quiet in that department.
Yep, fair enough. I mean, it was more than anything, I think, Joe, was just to try and get us some ideas. I'm going to try and approach Art Naps, and I think we should also approach Purity as well, and just see if there's a way that we could find something with, you know, plants that are, you know, pollinator friendly, that there's some way that, you know, $1 from those purchases come back to the club, because there was some interest from John and from Maury at Art Naps on that, but we were just too far into the spring to get it loaded. So let's talk about those options as well, because I think a quick meeting with John McCurra and with Maury Hick, I think we might be able to do some passive income for the organization that's pretty simple.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's great. Thanks very much, Joe, and I'll look forward to that conversation offline. Remembering that I will be away here, so try and catch me tomorrow if you can, or Thursday. Thursday might be better, but I am going to be driving to Salmon Arm tomorrow afternoon, so I'll have some windshield time if we can do a hands-free conversation there, because I do have Bluetooth. So if it's timely for you, feel free to give me a buzz on my cell, and we can chat while I'm en route.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Ian, it's over to you, Mr. Education.
Thank you.
And Kamloops' finest.
Probably BC's finest, but
Okay, BC's.
but we can discuss that offline. Okay, education. So far, we've had 3 speakers. We've had Dr. Dale Hill, Dana Stallman, and Dewey Caron. One of the speakers presented for free, and one asked for $75 and one asked for $100. So we've spent $175 US on 3 speakers, which I think is a really good bargain. We have to get more members on these educational presentations. On a second issue, which is related to education, I keep getting emails from past president BCHPA, Kerry Clark, who seems to be sending out emails about presentations. And there's one coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, October 20th, 7 o'clock, education. Sue Colby, she's talking about honeybee breeding. It's presented by the Mount Baker Beekeepers Club in Washington. And Sue Colby, I've heard her speak at least 6 to 10 times. She's top notch as a bee breeder, geneticist. She's going to be speaking tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. It's my understanding that if you join that website or join that presentation, it's free. She's a geneticist at Washington State University. She's talking about she works about maximizing the good traits that you can get from queens and minimizing the bad traits. She was the first person in the United States who brought in bee semen, drone semen from Europe in 2006. She's spoken at 8 countries: Canada, Mexico, Chile, Argentina, Costa Rica, Jamaica, Egypt, and South Africa. So we need to get this kind of information out to our members, that if anybody is looking for something to do tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, I have the link. It would be an excellent education opportunity. Second, one of our speakers, Dale Stallman, he sends out beekeeping notes. I just received note number 43. He's talking about what to use as feed for bees, what not to use as feed. You can use good stuff to feed your bees, and you can make them really sick if you feed them brown sugar, etc. He talks about emergency feeding. If anyone would like that link to Dale Stallman's, I think that his newsletter comes out about every 2 weeks. I find it well written, down to earth. If you heard his presentation, you'll understand what I mean. So there's these kind of educational opportunities that are out there. So I need to know what the club would like to have for the November meeting. I'm totally open to suggestions. I've been to presentations and conventions for a lot of years, and I do have some contacts. So if you give me a topic, I'll do my best to research it and present a speaker for November.
Okay, comments from the board? I think,
Ian,
Yes.
Lawrence,
sorry, would it be possible to get those links sent out to the secretary, and then it can go out to the whole group, because it's pretty tight timeline because it's on tomorrow night. So
Lawrence, thank you. I just learned about it today or yesterday from Carrie Clark. I will get that forwarded to Rob Hunter right away.
and Christine, because Christine can post it on Facebook and we can get it out, because I know Gary weighed in on the chat line there too and just said, let's get the link. So let's get those 2 links. And I think if we get them to Rob and we get them to Christine, we can get them posted and support it that way.
Yes, yes.
Now, November question, the reason that I put in there November guest speaker is, with the elections and everything, are we crowding the agenda, or are we looking for a quick, concise presentation that is maybe only 40 minutes or so in length? So that we don't end up with a meeting that could go long. Although, hopefully, with any kind of luck, Gary's able to bring forward a slate, which means that we're really not doing any major things. You always have to ask for nominations from the floor, but outside of that, the objective is really to bring forward a slate so that there's minimal amounts of time loss.
So one question I have there, Bryce, is this going to be an in-person or is this going to be Zoom? Because as of October 25th, as long as you're double vaccinated, we can have 100% attendance now.
Yeah, the only thing we need to do is we need to make sure that everybody is double vax coming in. And so we do have to do the scan. I'm open to looking at a face-to-face meeting, although I will need to lean in on somebody to assist with getting it organized, because I literally have one more day here and then I'm gone for 3 weeks. So I'm not back until literally just before this meeting. So I won't have time to organize it. So I got to be honest.
Do we have a place?
We do. We've got the university is back online. So it's Kimberly Johnston. We just need to connect with her and she'll coordinate giving us access for the Wi-Fi and setting it up so we can gain access through security at TRU. And we've got the parking. So I did line that up, but we canceled again when things tightened up. So, Ian?
Okay. I'm really in favor of in-person meetings. However, this is just a personal story. A friend in Victoria, double vaccinated, went to visit his wife in a care facility a month ago. He and 25 other people came out with COVID. Everybody was vaccinated, but it was the Delta strain. He did not get a severe case. He got a very mild case. He's 78 years old. He's a medical doctor. He thought he was safe. So I think Kamloops is really safe. compared to a lot of other bigger cities, but I'm still nervous about getting together right now until we find out about what's happening with this Delta variant. And
Can we not do a sort of a hybrid meeting then, where we can have in person as well as Zoom?
We can, but that's very doable, Lawrence. But it does take that technology transfer to be able to make it work, right? So we'd need to get that set up, and I'm 100% supportive of whichever way the rest of you want to go. But I will have to lean in on somebody to take the lead on organizing it, because I just won't be here. So, I may have to fall back on the first and second vice presidents to lean in a bit on that. So Klaus isn't on. I hate to keep looking at Dwayne, but Dwayne might be having to take some of it here just to get those contacts moving. But because you're absolutely right. I mean, double vaccine doesn't necessarily mean you won't contract, because I've got my brother-in-law right now who's double vaccinated, who also has COVID, but very mild symptoms. I mean, the vaccine, protects us from, harsh reaction to it, but it does not mean you can't contract or pass it on. So that's the issue that we are dealing with. So there's no doubt.
okay, another idea for November. Throwing this out, would the club be in favor of a YouTube presentation from a very notable speaker, whoever that would be? So that would be a start time and an end time, and then if discussion was indicated, people wanted to discuss, we could discuss, but we could cut it off ourselves without having the actual speaker in the house on the YouTube, on the program. It would be a recorded YouTube presentation. What do you think of that?
I think that's doable. I mean, I think we've got a few things on the agenda in November anyway. So that might be a nice soft sell. And I think that's a great way to go, personally.
Can we make that work?
Yeah.
Mikhail, can you do
Mikhail's not on, unfortunately, but I think if we connect with Mikhail and whoever's going to lead the charge on that, Dwayne, are you okay checking between you and Klaus if you can get that done?
Sure.
Okay. So Dwayne will be our go-to on this. So let's make sure that, Dwayne knows how to get the technology moving. Lawrence, you've been good about, helping with the technology at TRU. That's when I first met you in the club, was you were kind of leading that setup there. And I know my conversation with Kim was absolutely, we'll get you set up, we'll figure out the Wi-Fi, but you might want to come up and make sure you do a test run just before, right? Just to make sure everything works. So we might want to test it. But if we could do some kind of a blended hybrid, I'm in. I have to say, I did my first, personally did my first board meeting with the North Shore Business Improvement Association in person last week, and it was a breath of fresh air. In 18 months, we have not met as a group face to face. There's only 10 of us, and it was great to be in a room, because I'll tell you, running the meeting and getting to know each other, there was board members that had never met each other in person, and makes a big difference. So if we can figure out how to find a blend, I think it would certainly be great. And then we can accommodate, both sides, those that are feeling a little uncomfortable and those that are ready to go.
Okay, Bryce. Are we jumping in too quickly? You're not going to be here, so.
Well, I think it's just that those are the election night. It might not be a bad time, but I'm fine either way. I mean, we can wait till January with it and leave this one as a Zoom. But I hear what Lawrence is saying, because, I know there is an appetite, certainly, and I think our numbers will improve when we can start getting a little more face to face.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't have the technology to do anything else except find YouTube and that kind of thing. So I'm totally in favor of a meeting in person.
Okay, sounds good. And I know that as long as we've got Wi-Fi, we've got YouTube, so we've got no problem with that. I mean, that's a simple connection there.
For some people.
Well, but you know, you're busy with BC's finest, so I don't want to crowd you, Ian.
Okay. Okay.
No, Gary, did you have a question? You had your hand up earlier. I just didn't know if you had a question.
No.
No. Okay.
So Bryce, one thing about this, the new schedule then is the Zoom link will have to be resent out with the updated schedule either way.
Yeah, I
because
think
we're changing the meetings to all 6:30.
yeah, we're going to need to anyway. So we're going to need to make sure that that gets to Mikhail. Dwayne, can you make sure that he gets that information?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. We might as well leave it with one point person to make sure that the information gets to him on that and the contact with Kim. If have you got Kimberly Johnson's contact info at TRU by chance, Dwayne?
No, I do not.
Okay, you've got my email though.
I do.
Pop me an email and I'll feed you all the links and her personal email and her cell.
Sounds good. I will.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. So, all right. Anything else, Ian, or you're good? You're fading to black, so I'm assuming you're good. All right. Communications. Christine, you're live.
I'm live. So I've already just gone through, I've had 3 months of pre-scheduled post reminders for renewals. I have reminders for the board meetings. The general member ones, I've left the link in. For the board meeting ones, I did not include the link because for one, we'll have it somewhere in an email, but I figure just for accessibility and knowing kind of who, or anticipating who's going to kind of drop in on our board meetings. I just found the link for the Mount Baker meeting tomorrow. So I've already shared that. So I just shared that. But basically I'm stepping down. I have no childcare. So it's hard to make it to work.
Let alone your volunteer stuff.
Yes. So, and that's been just shy of a month now. We've been scrapping together stuff. So, so I thank you guys for being understanding, but I think right now, like I said, I'm just trying to pre-schedule a whole bunch of stuff. Whenever there is a meeting that comes up or Stallman's notes or that kind of stuff. If I see them, if they come across, there was a meeting October 6th that we shared. Murray had shared an email that, did anyone attend that?
I couldn't. I was busy that night. I don't know. Was there anybody online that attended that?
Was that the WAS presentation you're talking?
The small scale beekeeping or queen raising. Yeah, anyways, I know we shared the link from that because that was something that Murray shared to us, that he got a hold of, which I've just joined a whole bunch of other beekeeping clubs, and whenever they have a meeting come up or some good sessions or something come up, then I'm trying to share those. And funny enough, when I look at our analytics, mostly women are following us on Facebook and active on our Facebook page.
Interesting.
So,
interesting demographic.
Right?
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm happy to keep this posting and try to keep as much content going as I can right now. And then if someone does find someone to kind of take either over as chair, and even if I can help in some sort of way, shape, or form, I just know I don't think I can be the consistent head it needs right now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Christine. I mean, you and I talked about it, and I mean, personal life, does take priority. I mean, you got to take care of, your work, your family, that comes first. And the volunteer side, I realize it applies additional pressure at this point in time, and hopefully that changes, in the near future, and you can come back online with us. But I respect the position that you're in, and so if you've got anybody though that is, a friend that is also a fellow beekeeper, or somebody that you kind of confide in, that you think you can give a little nudge in the ribs to say, hey, would you consider doing this? And maybe I'll come back, you know, in another year and I'll stay on the committee and help where I can. That's generally a nice soft transition. If you think there's somebody out there that you can do that with, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of a buddy approach, right? You just kind of say, hey, if you can take the lead on this, I'll lean in and help you where I can. And, you know, I'll come back and help you when I can. But right now we need somebody that can do the leadership. Because I think that's the way the recruiting will have to be done right now, is we really have to lean on each other and friends, family, those that are next to us that we rub shoulders with, and see if we can't find some people that way.
I'm like, you say that enough. I'm going to run into Danica downtown again, and she's just going to put her head down and walk away from me.
Don't just lean in on Danica and just nudge her and say, Danica, come on, you could do this and I'll help a little bit. So, you know, because I did tell her you had to step back, and she says, oh, really? Because she's president of Rotary right now too, right? So.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, she's got a few things on the go, but she is a member of our club, but just hasn't been spending as much time online as she should. But yeah, so yeah, she might. And coming from you, it might be easier. I mentor her, so that's not going to be well from coming from the mentee.
So anyways, I did find that post now. Randy Oliver, small scale queen rearing. They did record it, and I did share that. So if you missed it.
Oh, there you go, Lawrence. It's recorded. We've even got it. Awesome. Thank you.
All WAS viewing things are recorded, so any
nice.
presentation is done by WAS is up on their website.
That's great.
So one thing about the WAS is they've actually got the a whole week event this year, starting in July, and they've got 3 different things all rolled together. So it's about a 6 or 7 day event this year.
Nice. Okay. All right. Anything else on communications? No? Okay. So last item on the agenda for tonight is just our general meeting, and I'll leave that in Dwayne's capable hands on whether or not we can actually pull it together for a live or a hybrid. And Dwayne, don't be afraid to, you know, cancel it if you don't think we're going to be able to pull it off with great quality. Then I say, you know, it's in your very capable hands to say, I don't think we're going to be able to do it in November. We'll wait and do a carryover till January, because I'm back on the 13th. So literally I'm really not in the office until the 14th, meaning that, you know, 2 days later we got the meeting. So I'm not going to be much help in planning that close to the event. So.
Are you going someplace warm?
I am.
You could take us all with you?
Well, if you can all fit in a carry-on, because I'm going to Mexico for 3 weeks, but I'm telling you, it's I don't take any more than shorts and swim trunks. That's it. So it's a carry-on. What do you need on the beach?
Which part of Mexico?
I'm on the Baja.
Nice.
So San Jose, Cabo area. Yeah.
Sounds. We'll meet you there.
All right. I'll be watching for you, margarita in hand.
Which resort should I book at?
Whatever one you like, I'll find you. Don't you worry, Lawrence.
I was pricing one out today just for fun because I was looking at it. It was $1,000 a night, so I don't think it'll be that one.
No, that's not the one. I'm not at that one either. I'm telling you, I'd be taking more than a carry-on, right? So yeah, the next meeting, obviously, we've got on the 16th. We'll change these to 6:30 starts. And the board meeting will be a 6:30 start, but obviously that'll stay for our next meeting in January. I'm not assuming we're going to do, are you wanting to do anything in December? Or do you usually take a sabbatical for Christmas? What's the feel of the board on that one? Because December can be a very disruptive month for a lot of people. So I'm asking the question.
Usually meetings were only held every odd month, and then we skip summertime. So we've never really had a meeting that I can remember in December.
No, but we did have one in January.
Yes, yeah. And I've got that one slated for January, but I don't have anything in December. So I I just thought, I mean, we could certainly do the board meeting and do another general meeting in January, but again, I know December is a busy month for everybody. So my experience with boards is that it's a struggle in December to get a quorum even.
Lawrence is correct. We have not met in December. However, if you bring back some reposado tequila, we might have an in-person small party meeting at your house.
I can maybe do that. But remember, of course, once you take the cap off the tequila and throw it, we got to drink it. So just remember, we're going to want to have a reasonable turnout, because if there's only 2 or 3 of us, it could be rough.
What's the problem?
What's the problem? Yeah, I'm not seeing a downside. It's a good thing you muted yourself there, Ian. Now we can't hear you.
Oh, just bring back a big one
Oh, well, that's fair. Yeah.
and a straw.
Joanne wants to talk.
Yeah, I know. I see Joe there. Thanks. Joe, go ahead.
Usually, it seems to me that we always have a general meeting for the membership in January, because that's usually when we start paying our dues and all the rest. Is that not correct? And it looks like that's not going to happen. It's our next general meeting is going to be February then. Is that correct?
According to this schedule, but I can flop that if you want. I mean, there's no reason why we can't do another meeting, because we can have a quick conversation after the meeting in November to see if we pull together, another plan for an education session and talk about dues and everything in January, if you want to do it that way. Ian, comment?
I think the November meeting is better to do the dues and all, because our insurance runs from January 1st to January 1st.
Yeah, that's why we're doing the elections here at the AGM, because we actually run calendar year. BCHPA actually is end of December is when they cycle, and they go January to the end of December. So we're just trying to nudge everybody in November. It gives them 30 days, basically a little more, 6 weeks to kind of get organized, to get dues in and everything. But again, if we think that it's good to start in January with a general meeting, I'm fine with revamping that schedule a bit. Sorry, Ian, you're muted. There you go.
Following up on what Nancy just said, the insurance policy runs from January 1st to December 31st. So if you want to buy the $75 liability policy from the BCHPA, if you don't pay until March, you're not covered until March. So it's important that members know that they can pay for the insurance in November, December this year to get coverage for 2022.
Okay. So, but again, just getting back to this, does anybody want to see a meeting in January? Because I just have to rework it to make sure I adjust it before any kind of an agenda gets pulled together.
I think
Well,
we should.
usually, like it was every odd month before we switched to this new schedule.
Yeah.
So in reality, yeah, it should be January and then March and then April if we sort of maintain the same schedule. But because
Okay.
we're skipping December, it sort of throws everything out of whack.
Yeah, so you know what? I'll flip this around. At the will of the board here, it sounds like maybe we'd be better off to do this, a board meeting maybe in December with just us, and maybe we can get together and have a quick conversation, just to plan and then be ready to go for January with a general meeting. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds better, I think.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I'll revamp that schedule. I'll rework it, and we'll plan to go that way then. And that way we do get another meeting in, and we start the year clean with a full membership.
Can we do it in Mexico?
We could, if everybody wants to come on down.
Just bring tequila.
Just bring tequila. I love it. Okay, well, I think that's everything. Does anybody have anything else that we have not covered, or any just open conversation that they want to get covered off.
No, I'm good.
Good? Okay, I'll watch for, Dwayne, I'll watch for your email in my inbox so I can get you connected up.
Yeah.
I'll work on a outline. I've made a note to make sure I get an agenda pulled together, which I will forward on to you as well, Dwayne, so you know what
Okay.
we're working with. And then the only thing that'll have to be filled in is who the guest speaker is or what that topic is on the YouTube. Are you able to manipulate Word documents?
Yes.
Okay, because some aren't, and I wanted to make sure. So I'll send it to you in a Word, and then you can transcribe it into a PDF, and then Mikhail will post it. Or Mikhail will.
Which version of Word are you talking? Because there's different versions, don't forget.
Yeah, it's the latest version.
I think
So-
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Christine, what's for dinner today? It's looking good there.
I forgot that I was gonna make pizza and I found pizza dough in my bread machine. I'm like, I might as well make something.
Well, that's a good call. I love it. I love it. We'll be over. I don't know. What's our
I
drive
was just
time?
thinking that myself.
Yeah, because I could use a slice of pizza. I'm good with that.
Which part of town are we looking at?
Where are you at, Christine?
I grind my own wheat. That's
Oh,
all I need to say.
We
That's-
still need a location though, Christine. to
Yeah,
all show
where?
up.
We just want to know where we're driving to. I just remember I do have your address online so I can find you. You can't hide.
It's like fishing. It's Lake None of Your Business.
Yeah.
Or my favorite hunting spot, Mount Nowhere. Like,
I love it. I love it. Clearly, this is not a restaurant service I'm finding.
Maybe she delivers.
Yeah. Hub Grub.
Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Joe, I'm going to respond to you here. I noticed you've popped me a text. I'll send you a note back on my drive time. Okay. Thanks very much, everybody.
good.
Thanks,
Make-
everybody.
somebody hold their hand up, make a motion for adjournment. Dave, that's all I need is one. We're closed. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everybody. I'll see you when I'm back off the beach.
lucky
Have a good one.
fucker.
Cheers.